When Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse originally came out in December of 2018, and my friends asked me whether or not I wanted to go and see it with them, my initial reaction was,
You serious?
if I'm being honest, I expected it to be a pretty average kids' cartoon movie and nothing more. But my friends were going, so I figured that I might as well go as well. And needless to say, I am incredibly glad that I did because I was truly amazed by this movie. And in so many moments, I was truly in awe of what I was watching. This film feels groundbreaking. And that's the quality that I adore the most about it. From the inspired visuals to the crazy twists and turns in the plot, this film feels truly original and fresh on every level of its making. It was like no other superhero movie I'd ever seen before. I'd even go as far as to say that it may be the best, or at the very least, one of the best Spider-Man films we've ever seen. As I mentioned in my No Way Home video, the best Spider-Man stories understand that at the heart of Spider-Man is tragedy and suffering. And what makes Spider-Man special to so many people is Peter Parker's ability to rise above the tragedies he faces in life and keep being a hero. What Into the Spider-Verse does differently is extend that. It's no longer just about Peter. It's about all the other spider people out there across the multiverse. And in widening that concept, it truly does feel like a film which tells you that anyone can wear the mask. I think one of the reasons the idea of the masked hero is so appealing is that they not only become a symbol greater than the person wearing it, that's true of many heroes such as Spider-Man and Batman, but also that the mask adds a layer of mystery, a layer in which we can project our own desire to be the one behind the mask. It's the idea that anyone can be under there, maybe even us. That's what's inspiring. And when I look at Spider-Man, or for me personally more so with Batman, I see a symbol in which I dream and imagine myself being. I wish I was the one behind the mask. I wish I could do what they could do. I wish I could be them, as strong as them, as brave as them, as good as them. And when a character has a mask, we get to project ourselves onto their symbol in a way that we can't with unmasked heroes such as Superman. Miles' story in this film is at the very heart of this idea. Look at the outfit he wears throughout the middle of the film. It's a Spider Man costume. He's projecting his desires to be like Peter Parker's Spider Man, but the costume doesn't quite fit because he isn't Peter Parker Spider Man. He's Miles Morales. This film is a story about what it means to forge your own identity from those who inspire you. Miles has to become his version of Spider Man. He can never truly be Peter Parker Spider Man because that's not who he is. He needs to find his own version, his own identity, and a version that's truly authentic to himself. Miles learns this through meeting all the other Spider people from across the Spider-Verse, and each are a genius reflection of what it means to be Spider-Man. None of them are mirror images of Peter Parker. They are their own Spider-Men and women. They show Miles that Spider-Man is and always will mean so much more than just one thing, being just one person. And in turn, they show the audience this for the first time too. One of the things that baffles me about this film is how the hell studios ever allowed it to be made. It's bonkers and brilliant and so filled with love and care and craft for all of the Spider-Man media, especially the very comics, the source material in which Spider-Man was born from. So having the balls to take that risk, to take something unlike any other Spider-Man movie we've ever seen before and bring it to the big screen, unlike any superhero movie we'd ever seen before. And it really did work. And I often wonder whether the studio truly knew the hit they had in the works before it was released. Building off this, I think we need to talk about Miles Morales. This film obviously introduces us to a lot of different Spider people, but like any narrative, it needs a protagonist. It needs someone for the audience to root for, and this film's choice of protagonist is one of us, a Spider Man fan. At the start of the film, we witness Miles gaze longingly for adventure out the cop car window, seeing Spider-Man save the day on the screens outside. Isn't that us? Aren't we Miles? Longingly gazing at the screens of whatever previous Spider-Man movie is on, wishing we could be like him. Miles gets to realize that dream, but there's a cost to that. because there's always a cost to being Spider-Man. And that's something that's only explored further in this film's sequel, Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse, but more on that in a separate video. The film does an excellent job of fleshing out Miles. That opening act fleshes out everything we need to know about Miles Morales, the dynamics he has with his mum and dad, how he interacts with the world around him, navigating the typical teenage worries of school and finding love and entering into adulthood. In these senses, he's very much like Peter Parker, but he's different enough not to be a cut and paste of Peter Parker. He's distinctly Miles, he's distinctly different, but he still feels like a Spider-Man candidate. Much in the way that many of us look up to the legend of Spider-Man and wonder whether we too have what it takes. We see our similarities and we wonder whether we have that power to be as brave, as heroic as well. Peter Parker is relatable to so many of us who don't feel cool, and Miles is the same in that respect. Whilst Miles arguably has more charm, he's just as much of a dork as shown in scenes such as
Why am I so sweaty?
Why are you so sweaty?
It's a puberty thing. I don't know why I said that. I'm not going through puberty. I did, but I'm done. I'm a man.
By the time we learn the truth about Uncle Aaron, whether you figured it out before the reveal or not, I personally hadn't, you almost don't want it to be the case, because we see how much Uncle Aaron means to Miles. The shoulder touch scene may be brilliantly funny.
Hey.
Hey.
No. Hey.
Hey.
But the fact that Miles actually tries it in person shows how much he values what his uncle has to say. And it's Aaron he tries to call when he realizes he's getting Spider-Man powers. It's heartbreaking when he finds out that Aaron is the Prowler. But what makes it all the more heartbreaking is that Miles brings out the best in Aaron. Aaron couldn't do it. He couldn't kill Miles when commanded by Kingpin. His hesitation cost him his life because Miles is someone who is just pure good, and the tragedy of losing his uncle is a massive, devastating event for Miles, almost like his Uncle Ben figure, if you will. The film doesn't stop there. There's that old saying that in life, sometimes for good things to come together, old things have to break apart first. Right from the get-go, we see Miles has a strained relationship with his father. Miles' dad is tough on Miles because he wants Miles to succeed in life, but to the young, naive Miles, he sees his dad as cold, and it's only after the death of Uncle Aaron we get what is, in my opinion, one of the best scenes in any movie I've ever watched. And that's when Miles' dad comes to visit him in his room, and Miles can't communicate, having been tied up and left by the other spider people, as he wasn't ready to take down Kingpin. Miles at this point isn't brave enough yet, but more on bravery in a second. This scene really hit me emotionally. Maybe because I was a similar age to Miles and had similar difficulties in my own life, but maybe just because it's so beautifully written. Miles is desperate to be believed in. We see his excitement at the idea of the Peter of his world training him before that's taken away so abruptly.
You're gonna be fine. I can help you. If you stick around, I can show you the ropes.
We see how crushingly disappointed he is when every other spider person deems him unworthy to complete the mission.
I don't have it yet. I'm sorry.
When will I know I'm ready?
And we see the struggles Miles has feeling loved by his father. But it's in this scene that gives Miles the strength and the courage to truly become his version of Spider-Man. Because it's in this moment that he realizes that his dad loves him and his dad believes in him. And that's all that he needed to have the strength to be brave. Every line of his dad's speech is so well crafted.
I see this spark in you. It's amazing. It's why I push you, but it's yours. Whatever you choose to do with it, you'll be great.
He sees a spark in Miles, and without knowing it, he's referring to Miles' electric powers. And to him, Miles is ignoring him.
Miles, I can see your shadow moving around. Yeah, okay, I get it. I get it, yes. Still ignoring me.
Even though we know otherwise. We feel how his dad struggles to open up to Miles. He struggles to convey his love for his son. to the point where he doesn't even know if his son loves him anymore, as denoted by the final line.
I love you. You don't have to say it back, though.
Which contrasts earlier in the film where
You gotta say I love you back.
Dad, are you serious?
I wanna hear it.
You want to hear
I
me say
love
it?
you, Dad.
You're dropping me off out of
I
school?
love you, Dad.
Look at this place.
Dad, I love you.
but now he lets Miles go, understanding that Miles is his own man and that he can't control how Miles feels about him. And Miles doesn't want this. He wishes he could convey how much he loves his dad, even more so understanding him now. And I think that it's a beautiful scene. Parent-teen dynamics can often be tricky, and sometimes a lot of it is a misunderstanding of how to love. Parents that are often pushy or tough do it because they were hurt, and they're so perpetually afraid of their children being hurt the way they were. Teens often can't quite comprehend that, and this scene does a great job of showcasing both sides of that door, both sides of that dynamic, and it's through this scene Miles becomes brave. Miles spends most of this film afraid. After this scene, with his newfound power, he truly becomes brave, exemplified in this film's greatest scene, known most famously and commonly as the What's Up Danger scene. Miles starts this story living in fear, afraid to take that.
It's a leap of faith. That's all it is, Miles. A leap of faith.
That Peter B. Parker is on about. And it's in this moment Miles does. And there's a lovely little visual cue to showcase that he's still afraid. And that's the fact that despite now having gained control of his powers, the glass of the window shatters as he jumps off because his fingers are afraid to let go. But he has the courage now to make the jump. So he's so much so he's willing to take the glass with him. Bravery isn't having no fear. Bravery is having fear and pushing through it, and not being controlled by fear. Through earlier events of this film, Miles is controlled by his fears. That's why he won't make the jump. But through his father's belief in him, he becomes courageous and brave. His father's belief in him gives him the belief in himself he needs to be brave. He feels like a part of his family because he's no longer running from things. And it's such a beautiful, powerful moment because of that. Couple that with the stunning visuals, excellent soundtrack choice, and the build-up of outstanding writing, and you have a movie moment that's truly sensational and inspirational. I've talked a lot about the idea of the hero's journey in quite a few of my videos now, and no scene better exemplifies this idea than this one, and it's a huge reason why I love this movie so much. Fundamentally, what makes this film work so well is that it relies on the hero element rather than the super one. The emotional beats and the writing are what set this film a cut above most of the genre. It's a character-driven film, and that character is Miles, and it's written so well. On the note of character writing, whilst Miles is our main character, good character writing expands far beyond that, and sometimes the film is able to tell us a lot without saying anything. Take this Kingpin scene, for example.
Spider-Man.
Wilson, what are you doing?
Vanessa.
Richard, come on.
Richard! No!
Here, we're given the motivations for our villain. We finally understand his reasoning as to why he wants to open up the Spider-Verse. And this is done through a brilliant use of visual storytelling. The Kingpin pen click is one of the best scenes I've seen in a movie for this. Sometimes good writing and visuals can be enough. We often on this channel discuss the notion that show, don't tell the audience something. This takes it to the next level by showing us without telling us. It gives Kingpin a character, and even though we know he's in the wrong, we can still sort of feel for him. Even if the tragedy of losing his wife and son was ultimately a result of his own actions, his motivations in this film are valid and understandable, much like Thanos' in Avengers Infinity War, which makes a far more engaging and better written villain figure. And what amazes me about Kingpin in this film is it's done in merely a few minutes. On the note of visuals, the film's art style is truly groundbreaking, bringing the style of comic books to life in a way never ever seen before. Couple this with the film's awesome sound design and score, and you have a very stylized and unique, original feeling world to be immersed in. It's incredibly visually appealing to watch, in a very unique way that differs from conventional animation or live action cinematography. Again, it's an awesome way to add in Easter eggs and references, and this film feels like it was made with love and passion, and it really shows. And it's through the tinier details that this notion is really enforced. The world building feels like a love letter to the character, with various Easter eggs and jokes and callbacks thrown in. It respectfully teases and builds upon the Spider-Man brand across all its forms of media, and that's a very unique trait that this film has. It's a celebration of the brand or the character, not just a specific version of it, in the way that Endgame was celebratory solely for the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Another aspect the film does cleverly is Peter B. Parker. In many ways, Peter B. Parker is the perfect mentor, even if it doesn't seem like that at first. We learn more from our mistakes than we do from our successes, and we can learn more from the mistakes of others than we do from seeing their successes. The Peter at the start of this film, the original Peter of Miles' universe, he's too perfect. He's the archetypal Spidey. Sure, he'd have shown Miles the ropes if he got the chance, but he's too perfect for Miles to really learn from. And I feel like if he was to teach Miles, Miles would only emulate him without differentiating himself enough. Whereas Peter B. Parker is a Spider-Man whose life has taken a downturn. He's been the Peter from the start of this film, the one from Miles' universe. He's had that life stage almost exactly, but he's older now. He's experienced far more of life and experienced far more adversity. He goes beyond pop culture's general timeline of the Spider-Man story. He isn't a man in his teens or 20s. He's a greying man of his 40s. He's made mistakes. He's wise. And like anyone, he still has much to learn. Often student-mentor relationships in films can feel a bit bland. The mentor knows it all and the student has to learn. But the most profound student-mentor relationships, both in real life and in storytelling, are the ones in which they both learn something from one another. In teaching Miles to be Spider-Man, Peter B. Parker, who's lost his way, relearns what it means to be Spider-Man himself. He too goes on an arc in this film. By the end, he's brave enough to go back to MJ and try again. He takes the very leap of faith that he preaches that Miles needs in order to become Spider-Man. It's why the bond between the two of them is so deeply special. It's a shame that Peter B. Parker isn't in much of Across the Spider-Verse, but it's clear they're saving him more for the third movie, and I'm very much looking forward to seeing more of his interactions with Miles. Ultimately, this is a film about bravery and courage, and that's an inspiring message to tell us all. And through the combination of this message with the idea that
anyone can wear the mask. You could wear the mask. If you didn't know that before, I hope you do now.
what you have is a message that doesn't feel detached from its audience. Sometimes we watch superhero films and we're inspired and amazed by them or their actions, but we don't truly feel that that could be us too. That's what this movie is. It's a call to be like Spider-Man ourselves. We are Miles. We are the fans who play dress up. But this film encourages us to be our own version of Spider-Man, just like Miles does. The costume design of this movie only reinforces this notion. Miles wears a Spider-Man costume that doesn't fit, because whilst he is like Peter Parker Spider-Man, he isn't the perfect fit because he is different, as we all are, just as we are in ways to Peter. But by the end of the movie, Miles swings in not a costume of another Spider-Man, but a Spider-Man suit of his own. This is his identity. This is his version of Spider-Man. The film encourages us to take the best of the Spider-Man character and mold it to our own identity. Make our own suit of who we are as a person. Have our own style, but have the traits of Spider-Man that inspired us in the first place. To be brave, to be courageous. This movie asks us to take a leap of faith, to be brave in our own lives, to stand up for what we believe in, what we believe is right. Because the key to finding our identity is just that. It's bravery. And to become brave,
It's a leap of faith. That's all it is, Miles. A leap of faith.
And that was my take on Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse. It's genuinely one of the best superhero movies ever made, with astounding visuals, profoundly moving and exceptional writing, and at its heart, a core message that truly anyone can be inspired by. And if you made it this far, thank you so much for watching, and I hope you have a great day.
All have powers of one kind or another. In our own way, we are all Spider-Man. And we're all counting